There are moments in sport that no camera could have planned for. Moments that don't belong on a highlight reel but live forever in the hearts of the people who witness them. This is one of those moments. And the reason it broke the internet in less than 24 hours has nothing to do with who won. It has everything to do with what happened to someone who lost. Alex Eala was gone. Or at least, that's what the world expected. First round. Roland Garros. 2026. The 21-year-old Filipino tennis sensation had walked onto the red clay carrying the hopes of 110 million people, and she had walked off carrying a loss. Eva Liss had been too sharp, too composed, 6-4, 6-2, and that was that. The Philippine flags that had filled the stands the day before were being folded. The chants were fading. The dream, at least for this fortnight, was over. What no one knew was that 47 hours later, a video would surface that would be watched more than 30 million times. Not a victory. Not a comeback. Something far rarer. Something that reminded the entire world what sports are actually for. But to understand why that moment hit the way it did, you have to understand who Alex Eala is. Not the ranking. Not the statistics. The person. She was 17 when she became the first Filipino to win a junior Grand Slam singles title. 18 when the entire country stayed up past midnight to watch her play. 20 when her ranking broke into the top 50 and Filipinos abroad hung flags from apartment windows in London, in Dubai, in New York. She is not just an athlete to the Philippines. She is proof. Proof that a girl from Manila can stand toe-to-toe with the best players on earth and make them work for every point. And that is precisely why losing at Roland Garros stung the way it did. Not because people expected her to win the whole tournament, but because she had fought so visibly, so beautifully, and had still come up short. And in the aftermath of that loss, she did something most athletes wouldn't do. She stayed. She came back to the stadium the next day, not as a competitor, but as a fan. She pulled on a white hoodie, tied her hair back, stripped away the makeup, and found a seat in the players' box at Court Suzanne Lenglen to watch someone else play. She was trying to disappear into the crowd. To breathe. To remember why she loved this sport, even when it broke her heart. She never expected to become the center of anything again that afternoon. What happened next, no one inside that stadium could have scripted. The second round match had already begun. The crowd was electric, flags waving, the atmosphere thick with that particular Roland Garros energy that fills the Parisian air every spring. And then the music started. Not the ambient stadium hum. Not an anthem. A voice. Clear, full, unmistakable, rising from the direction of the court itself. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. The crowd didn't cheer. They went completely silent. Phones rose into the air by the hundreds. The players stopped mid-rally and turned. And standing at the baseline, microphone in hand, was a woman who had absolutely no business being on a tennis court. And yet in that moment, she was exactly where she was supposed to be. Regine Velasquez. 56 years old. Asia's songbird. A voice so iconic it has been called a national treasure. She has performed for heads of state. She has sold out Carnegie Hall. She has sung at the most significant moments in Filipino history, moments of grief and celebration and defiance, for decades. She had never stood on a tennis court before in her life. She had never serenaded a first-round loser. But here she was, on the red clay of Roland Garros, singing for a 21-year-old who was trying not to be seen. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. The stadium held its breath. And then the cameras found Alex Eala. Her hand had flown to her mouth. Her eyes had filled. She wasn't trying to hold it together. She wasn't performing for the crowd. She was simply overwhelmed, the way people are when something reaches past every defense they have built and touches the part of them that is most raw, most honest, most human. The song ended. The applause that followed was not polite. It was thunderous, the kind that reverberates in your chest. But Regine Velasquez was not finished. She walked slowly toward the players' box, her gaze fixed on the young woman who had become a symbol of everything her country believed was possible. The stadium quieted again. And in that silence, she spoke. "Alex," she said, and even without a microphone her voice carried. This is for you. Not because you won. Because you fought. Because you never gave up. Because you reminded us that losing does not make you a loser. She extended her hand. And she said the two words that every Filipino in that stadium and every Filipino watching from thousands of miles away recognized instantly. Words that had become Eala's battle cry, her nation's rallying call, the phrase stitched into banners and painted on signs and whispered through tears in living rooms across Southeast Asia. Laban Eala. Boys. Alex Eala stood up on legs that were shaking. Her eyes were wet. She reached out and took Regine's hand. I don't know what to say, she whispered. And Regine smiled. You don't have to say anything. Just keep fighting. Keep being you. The rest will take care of itself. She pulled Eala into an embrace. And the crowd erupted. Not for a winner. For a fighter. The footage was everywhere within hours. 30 million views in 24 hours. Coco Gauff saw it and simply wrote, wow. Just wow. Naomi Osaka posted it with the caption, this is what love looks like. Roger Federer, a man not easily moved to hyperbole, called it the Eala effect. Unstoppable. But what was it, exactly, that made this moment so impossible to look away from? Why did people who had never heard of Alex Eala, people who don't follow tennis, people who have never once thought about the Philippines, watch this video and feel something shift inside them? The answer is not simple. And it begins somewhere most people don't expect it to. It begins with the weight of being someone's hope. When you carry an entire nation's dreams on your shoulders, winning feels expected and losing feels like a betrayal, even when it isn't, even when you played beautifully, even when your opponent was simply better that day. Athletes in that position rarely talk about how isolating it is. The flags are wonderful. The chants are fuel. But in the quiet moments after a loss, when the stadium empties and you're sitting in a hotel room with your thoughts, the love of millions can feel impossibly heavy. Because what you hear in the silence isn't just support. It's expectation. And expectation, even when it comes from a place of love, can be crushing. Alex Eala had been carrying that weight since she was a teenager. And after her loss at Roland Garros, she was carrying it alone. Until she wasn't. The morning after Regine's performance, the two women met for breakfast at a small cafe near the stadium. The owner, a Filipino expat who had recognized both of them before they had even ordered, quietly cleared the back room. He brought out plates of food and steaming coffee, and then disappeared, understanding instinctively that what was about to happen in that room was not meant for anyone else. They sat across from each other. Asia's songbird and the girl who had become the Philippines' brightest hope in tennis. Two women from the same country, from different generations, who had never met before, and who already felt like family. The conversation that followed lasted 2 hours. Most of it was never recorded, but enough has been shared, through accounts from people close to both women, to understand what was said. And what was said matters more than anything that happened on a tennis court. Eala spoke first. She thanked Regine for coming, for singing, for making her feel like she hadn't failed. And then she said something that only someone who has been in her position could understand. She said she was scared. Not of losing. She had lost before. She was scared of becoming the player who always came close but never made it. The player people would one day speak about in the past tense, the way they speak about almost legends. The ones the world remembered with sadness instead of celebration. What Regine said next was not a pep talk. It was not a rehearsed speech. It was the truth of someone who had lived it. She told Eala about albums that failed to chart, about performances that fell flat, about critics who wrote that she was finished, that her voice had peaked, that the next generation had moved on without her. She told her about the mornings she woke up and genuinely considered walking away. And she told her why she didn't. I remembered why I started, Regine said. The love of it, the joy of it, and the people who still believed in me. That's how you keep going. Not by chasing perfection, by remembering why you began. There was a long silence after that. And then Eala asked the question that had been sitting beneath everything else. The one she hadn't been able to ask out loud until now, in this back room of a cafe in Paris, with a woman who understood in a way most people never could. What if it's never enough? She asked. What if I fight my whole career and it still doesn't happen? Regine looked at her for a moment before answering. And what she said did not offer false comfort. It did not promise outcomes no one can promise. It offered something rarer than that. It offered perspective. Maybe you'll win a Grand Slam. Maybe you won't. But Alex, listen to me. That's not what defines you. What defines you is what happened yesterday. A 56-year-old woman flew to Paris and stood on a tennis court in front of thousands of people to sing for you. Not because you were the champion. Because of who you are. The way you carry yourself. The way you fight. The way you make people feel possible. That's not something you can practice. That's not something you can earn with a trophy. That is the Eala effect. And you already have it. Eala's eyes glistened. She didn't speak for a moment. And when she did, it was barely above a whisper. I didn't know you'd call it that. Regine smiled. Federer called it that. I'm just borrowing it. When they finally stood to leave, Regine pressed a small box into Eala's hands and told her to open it later. Eala nodded, too moved to say anything. She slipped the box into her bag, embraced Regine once more, and stepped back out into the Parisian afternoon. The city was humming around her. The tournament was continuing without her. And for the first time since her loss, she felt something other than the weight. That night, alone in her hotel room, she opened the box. Inside was a gold necklace, a simple chain with a small pendant cast in the shape of the Philippine archipelago. She turned it over in her palm. Engraved on the back, in script so fine it was almost delicate, were the words, "Laban always. You are not alone." She put it around her neck. She stood in front of the mirror for a long time. And then she did something she hadn't done since she landed in Paris. She slept. The next morning, she packed. Roland Garros was behind her. The grass season was ahead. Wimbledon was weeks away. Her ranking, projected to drop from 37 to 42, would need to be rebuilt point by point, tournament by tournament. None of that had changed. The loss was still the loss. The math of professional tennis does not care about gold necklaces or standing ovations. But something inside her had shifted, quietly and permanently, in a way that rankings cannot measure. At Charles de Gaulle Airport, she arrived to something she hadn't expected. A small crowd had gathered near the Philippine Airlines check-in counter. Not photographers. Not journalists. Ordinary Filipinos. Nurses and engineers and students who were living in Paris for work or study and had come, on a weekday morning, to see her off. They held flags. They held handwritten signs. Some of them were crying before she even reached them. One of the signs read simply, "Alex, you made us proud. We'll be here when you come back. Laban always." She moved through the crowd slowly, stopping for photographs and handshakes and embraces from strangers who did not feel like strangers. And then a little girl stepped forward. She could not have been older than 10. She was holding a drawing, done in crayon on notebook paper. A stick figure with a tennis racket, a crown, and a flag. She held it out with both hands, the way children offer things when they are certain of their value. "I made this for you," she said. "You're my hero. Even when you lose." Eala knelt down. She took the drawing carefully, the way you take something that matters. "I'll keep it forever," she said. "I promise." A fan nearby captured the moment on a phone. Within hours, that image was everywhere. The headline wrote itself. Eala's promise to young fan, "I'll keep it forever." On the plane, as Paris fell away beneath the clouds, she looked out at the city she was leaving behind. Somewhere below was Roland Garros, where she had lost in the first round of a Grand Slam. Somewhere below was a courtside where a legend had sung for her. Somewhere below was a cafe where someone who understood had told her the truth she needed to hear. Her phone buzzed. A message from Regine. She opened it. "You didn't win a match, Alex. But you won something more important. You won hearts. You won love. You won a song. And you have something around your neck to remind you that you are never alone. Now rest. The grass season is waiting. Laban." She read it twice. She typed back slowly. "Thank you, Tita Regine. For the song. For the necklace. For believing in me. I'll carry this with me forever. Laban." She closed her eyes and touched the pendant at her throat, that small gold shape of home, and let herself breathe. Here is what is true: the 2026 French Open will be remembered for its champions. The names inscribed on the trophies will be remembered. The statistics will be catalogued. The rankings will shift and settle. Tennis will move on, the way tennis always does. But the most replayed moment from Roland Garros that year was not a match point. It was not a final set. It was 30 seconds of a woman standing on a tennis court with a microphone, singing to someone who had lost, and meaning every single word. Because what Regine Velasquez did that afternoon was not just a gesture of national pride, though it was that. It was not just a viral moment, though it became one. It was an act of radical tenderness. In a world that celebrates winners relentlessly and forgets losers almost instantly, she stopped. She walked onto the clay. And she said, with everything she had, that the person who lost still mattered. That the fight still mattered. That love does not require a trophy to be real. And Alex Eala, 21 years old, ranked 37 in the world, first-round exit, gold necklace around her neck, drawing from a 10-year-old girl folded carefully in her bag, flew home to prepare for the next chapter. Not broken. Not diminished. Something harder to define and far more durable. She flew home ready. The question worth sitting with is this: when the next generation of Filipino athletes steps onto the world stage, inspired by everything they saw in Paris, by the flags and the chants and the voice that rang out across the red clay, will they remember the score? Or will they remember what the score could not contain? The love that showed up anyway. The song that no one saw coming. The necklace with 3 words on the back. The promise made to a little girl with a crayon drawing. The truth that Regine Velasquez spoke quietly in a back room in Paris, that some things outlast any result, and this was one of them. Laban always. You are not alone.